My presentation is on introductions, transitional statements, and conclusions. If I had a penny every time a student started their presentation with saying, "Today my presentation is on," or ending with the words, "That's it," I would be a very rich man. So today in this very short screencast, I'm going to talk about the elements of effective introductions and conclusions, and also talk a little bit about transitional statements that you're going to use in your presentation. So hopefully by the end of this screencast, you will have a better understanding of how to formulate your intro and your conclusion, and you'll really put a focus on using transitional statements in your presentation. So let's do it. Lastly, I'll just tell you, take notes and tweet, and when you tweet, maybe consider using the hashtag public speaking, hashtag informative speech, hashtag introduction, hashtag transitions. Come up with your own hashtags. Let's see you include those in there. That would be great. Start here. There's many elements for an introduction, but you basically want to think about the primacy effect. First impressions, gain the attention of your audience. How are you going to hook them? You need to grab them right away from the beginning. So how do you do that? A great strategy that I see used effectively is a question. Make it a closed-ended question. Let's get a quick show of hands on the following question, or how many people have heard of yes or no type questions, and have them raise their hands and actually take a minute and see, count, look, who's raising their hand, who isn't, and take a look. And that's a great place to start. It gets them thinking about your topic, it gets them raising their hand and engaged, and it's just a great overall creative way to start. There's also using a story. If you're going to tell a story, launch right in and tell a story. You can also use a quote, a statistic, a fact, something that you start right from that point that kind of hits home on your presentation. In terms of humor, I did put humor up here. I say avoid humor. I think it's better to get your meat hooks into them without a joke. I don't think jokes go over really well in introductions, and so that's something you want to avoid. Also, something else to avoid is how I opened this presentation. Today, my presentation is on. Let's not have that happen this round of presentations. Jump right into your creative hook and remember the primacy effect. You're also going to preview your main points. So what I plan to cover today is my point 1, main point 2, main point 3, whatever you have for main points. And you're going to hear that in the example that you have. And then lastly, make a promise to the audience. This is your value step. What will they benefit from? How will they gain? What do you want to give to them by the end of your presentation? Tell us. I hope to, by the end of this presentation, give you something of value, and tell us explicitly and make it really clear that you're giving us something of value. So to internally summarize this slide, gain their attention, remember the primacy effect, preview your main points, and make a value statement. Why should the audience care? Transitional phrases. I have a picture of a bridge here because transitional phrases are the structure, and they're the path that help the audience see where your presentation is going. You know where your presentation is going, but make it explicitly clear to the audience. And so transitional phrases, they are meta messages. They give the audience structure, and they're words that are process-oriented words that help you formulate and make a message clear. It's not content, it's structure and process messages. And they're also known as signposts or internal summaries and previews, and those are right in the text. You can read about those, but there's some examples would be first, second, third, next. In my quoted examples here, I say the first main idea I would like to discuss, and so now the audience knows you're moving on to your first main idea. Moving on to my next idea. These are all great things that will bridge together your main points. And then here's an example of language for an internal summary. Before I move on to my next idea, let me recap what I've just covered. And again, none of these are content-oriented messages. They're all process-oriented. They help your audience see where you're going, see what you've accomplished, and give it structure and guidance. So they're bridge phrases. Lastly, let's talk about conclusions. Conclusions summarized by restating thesis and main points. Again, explicitly say, again, what I came here to argue was, and the points that I covered were A, B, and C. And you explicitly say that. You also make good on your value statement, and you regain your attention and regain their attention. And so, you can do that by closing with a quote, closing with a closed-ended question, use a story, refer back to the beginning. Maybe whatever you did in the beginning, you can refer back to. So if you told a story in the beginning, end with going back to the story and talking a little bit about it and refresh the audience. And lastly, salute or thank the audience for listening. And that's really an important element to do, is just, thank them for their time and being a good audience and listening. And end with thank you. So what did we do in this screencast? We covered introductions, transition statements, and conclusions, and I hope you've gained something of value about these elements that you absolutely need in your presentation. I really want people to nail this part of the presentation, and so good luck with your work. Looking forward to seeing tweets pop out on any ideas that you grabbed in this, and I wish everyone the best.